Kal Kadosh Boker Or Masechet Bava Kamma Daf Yudchet Amud Aleph 118a1 says the Mishnah Hagozel et Chavero Shilva Hemeno Shifkid Lo. If a person comes and he steals from his friends, or he borrows from him, or he was mafkid lo by yishuv, right? That means basically he comes and he stole from his friend, or he borrowed from him, or he was given a pikadon from him. If it was by yishuv lo yachzir lo b'midbar. Imagine the guy came and he did it in the yishuv, so don't return it to him in the midbar, obviously, right? Al menat latzeh b'midbar. But if he went and he borrowed it to take it out to the midbar, that means basically again we're talking about now. Obviously we're not talking about gezelah, we're talking about the pikadon or the halva'ah. If it was al menat to take it out to the midbar, yachzir lo b'midbar, you could give it back to him even in the midbar. Okay, so this is a very simple mishnah, obviously, which just means that if I'm going to come and I'm going to take it from your house, don't give it back to me in a party. You know, it happens all the time. People come, they borrow from you something, right? And all of a sudden, here, I take it back. You borrowed it from my house. Come to my house, give it back to me in my house. No. It doesn't work like that. Okay? Says the Gemara, we have a contradiction. He comes and he says, Milva mishtalemet bechol makom. What are you talking about? A milva. Right? When we're talking about now milveh, which is a loan, you pay it anywhere. Aveda pikadon mishtalemet bechol. You're right. Aveda and pikadon, if somebody lost a lost object, or a pikadon, you have to give it back in the house. You have to give it back wherever it was. But a milveh, a loan, you pay back wherever it is. It's a Gemara Mufreshet.
Pikadon for the milveh?
No, another pikadon. Any pikadon. I come and I tell you, here, watch over this for me. Right? So he says, Amar Abaye comes and he says, Hachi Kamar, this is what it means to say. Milveh nitna litava bechol makom. You could ask for it anywhere where you want. But aveda pikadon lo nitnu litava bimkomam. But you could only ask for it in their place. So it comes out the kavanah of the right is not that he could pay it back anywhere. It's only that the malveh is permitted to ask for it anywhere. So therefore there's no stira. Meaning, but if he's asking for it now, listen, he wants it here, Bechal will take it. You want it here in the desert, I'll give it to you in the desert. What do you care? I might be more dangerous, but you're asking for it. So here, Bechal will take it. So that's what it means, that you could ask for it in any single place. Next, 2 dots. Why don't you took it on condition to go to the desert? So says the Gemara Pshita, obviously, if you took it on condition, so obviously you could do that. So answers the Gemara, what are we dealing with? The Elmaleh that he says, Pikadon lehave hai pikadon gabach ta'ana lemidbar nafikna. This pikadon which is by you, right? It should be by you because I'm going out to the desert. The Elmaleh iu, so he tells the ana lemidbar nami. I also have to go. So yibaina ladrina lechahata madrin lach. If I want to give it back to you there, I'm going to give it back to you, which means that the Mishnah is teaching you that even though it's not mamashat nai, because he didn't say al minat, he didn't say on condition. He just said, if I want to give it back to you in the desert, I'm going to... Meaning the guy comes and he says, listen, watch it because I have to go there. I'm going out of town. He says, yeah, but I'm also going out of town. So he says, you know what, if I'm going to go out of town also, I'm going to give it back to you there. Right? If I want. He didn't make it a tanai. But the fact that he said, if I want, so he's allowed to. He's allowed to come and give it back to him over there. Next Mishnah. If somebody comes and he tells his friend, Gizalticha uilvitani hifkata etzli ve'eni yodei mechzarti lecha im lo ichzarti lecha. Imagine I come and I say, listen, right, I stole from you, or I borrowed from you, or I put a pikadon, meaning you gave me a pikadon, but I don't remember if I gave it back to you or not. Chayav l'shalem. He's obligated to pay back. But if he says, En yodea in gizalticha, I don't know if I actually stole from you, or if I borrowed from you, or you gave me a pikadon, patur mi l'shalem. Meaning, if it was a for sure, a certain, that there was a loan, or all these things, so now, you don't have proof of payment, you have to pay it again. But if I bichlal, I don't even know if I did that. So therefore, it doesn't work. So Rav Huna of Rav Yehuda Amri,
should be swearing.
So says the Gemara, Itman was stated, Mani li biyadcha vehala omer en yodea. I come and I say, listen, I give you $100. He says, I don't know. So Rav Huna of Rav Yehuda Amri chayav. Rav Huna and Rav Yehuda say they're going to be chayav, and Rav Nachman and Rav Yochanan says you're going to be patur. Rav Huna of Rav Yehuda they say you're going to be chayav bari v'shema bari adif, which means that when you have a bari v'shema, bari is for sure, shema is a maybe. So bari v'shema bari adif. Bari, meaning I come and say you owe me $100. I'm a bari. I'm for sure. You come and say I don't know. So you're a maybe. So bari v'shema bari adif. That's why you're going to be chayav. Rav Nachman Rav Yochanan says patur. Why? Put the money in the chazakah of his master. Where's the money right now? By the master. Leave it by the master. He's not sure. Leave it by him. So therefore, there's going to be a machlok. What is more strong? Bari v'shema bari v'adif, and therefore I'm bari. I'm taking the money away from you. You have to give me the money. Or no, you have a chazakah. It's by you. Leave it by you. So Tanan, we're going to ask from another Mishnah. But if he says that I don't know, whether I borrowed it or not, patur is going to be patur. What's the case? If he's not asking for the money, so he also wasn't asking for the money in the Reisha. So am I chayav? So why is he going to be chayav then? Ela de katavale. Obviously, he's asking for the money back. V'ktani seifa, and the seifa said patur min shalem. So therefore, it comes out that even in a place of bari v'shema, we don't take it out. Even if you're bari v'shema, don't take out the money. You leave it in the chazakah maneh. You leave it in the chazakah of its master. So answers the Gemara, no. Leolam de lo katav. Really, be'emet, he's not asking for the money back. But in the Reisha, you're coming, let's say, to the Shamay. What does that mean? You know b'vadaut that you stole, but you just don't know whether you gave it back or not. So you're not going to be Yitzhak Chovah Lidei Shamayim until you pay it back, because you're not sure. So Yidei Shamayim, not Mididei Adam. Mididei Adam be'emet, really be'emet, we wouldn't obligate you. But you want to be, let's say, Lidei Shamayim. So let's say to the Shamayim, this is what you have to do. Okay? Itman Nami was also stated, you're right, I have $100 by you. The halom, and he says, I don't know. Chayav beval, that's it. He's going to be chayav to go back with the Shemaim. Meaning only the Shemaim, not Midinei Adam. Midinei Adam is going to be patur. But Midinei Shemaim is going to be chayav. Next Mishnah. Hagonev tale min ha'eder v'echziro. Imagine somebody steals a sheep from an eder, from a flock, and then he put it back. Now the Baalim don't know that you put it back. So you stole it, they knew that you stole it, but they didn't know you put it back. And then umet on ignav. It died, or it was stolen. Chayav b'achriyuto. He's still going to be chayav in all the onsim, because basically the fact that he returned it and the owners didn't know that he returned it, he's still chayav in everything that happens until the owners know that he returned it. Lo yadu baalim. Look, but if the baalim never knew about the stealing or the return, meaning the baalim were so complicit, they didn't even realize, not that the guy stole it or not that he returned it. So then, right, manu et atzon shlemai, he's going to be patur. Why? Because the Baalim, meaning beforehand, the Baalim knew it was stolen. So they didn't pay attention to this sheep that was a missing sheep. And all of a sudden it was returned, they didn't realize. So now if it dies or whatever it is, so the guy's still going to be chayav. But here in this case, the Baalim never knew about it. So since they never knew about it, that's why the guy's going to be patur. Okay? Says the Gemara, Amar Rav says, Lada'at, right? If right now he stole it, Ladat of Baalim, tzarich dat. You have to give it back to them with dat. Shelo ledat, but if it was without that, minyan poter. All they have to do is count it, and then he's going to be patur, right? Why? Because they counted, they have the exact number that they always had, and then that's it. So v'chiktani umanu et atzon v'ishlema aseifa. So when do we learn the words that they counted it and they found that it was all perfect? That they saw it on the seifa. Okay? Ushmuel amar, but Shmuel comes and he argues on Rav, and he says ben ledat ben shelo ledat minyan poter. It doesn't matter whether you know about it or not. The second that the owners count it, that's it. He's patur. Okay, v'chiktani. So when do we learn? Yes, because once he counted it, they know that it was given back, right? So he says v'chiktani, right? Umanu et atzon v'ishlema patur is on the entire Mishnah, whether it's the first case, right, or the second case as well. Meaning whether it was the dat baalim or shalol dat baalim, it's all meaning according to Shemuel, this tour of counting it and finding it shalem is a tour on the entire Mishnah. There's no difference whether the owners knew about the stealing or not. Salam shos. Third shita, we had Rav, Shemuel, now we have Rabbi Yochanan. Third shita, Rabbi Yochanan. Leda'at, if the guy knew about it, minyan poter. The minyan is going to be poter, right, from achrayut. Shelo leda'at, right, if it was done shelo leda'at, afilu minyan, you don't even need to count it. Even if the guy didn't count it, you're patur. Why? The guy never knew it was stolen. So even without counting it, you're going to be patur from any achrayut. So when do we learn that? So when do we learn then that you counted the tzon and it's going to be shlema? On the reisha. Okay, that was the third shita. Fourth shita, Rav Chasta. Rav Chasta comes and he says, L'da'at minyan poter. Right? When we're talking about l'da'at, so again, the numbers is going to be poter, just like, meaning counting it, just like the Rabbi Yochanan. Shelo l'da'at, tzarich da'at. But if it was done shelo l'da'at, you always need da'at. And therefore, even if they counted it, it doesn't matter. You have to tell the guy it was returned, the stolen object. Then even though the guy counts it and he says, hey, 1 second, they gave it back to me. Doesn't help. Minyan doesn't help. So he says, v'chiktani, so then 1 second. But in the Mishnah though it said, umanu atatzon v'ishlema. And you're going to be patur. So what is that going on? It's not going on the seifa. It's going on the reisha, on the ledat. Right? So therefore that's why he says, ledat, So then minyan poter. Okay? So Amar Rava comes and he says, he's explaining the Shita of Rav Chasta, Kuf Yudchet Amubet. My Tamad Rav Chasta, what's the reasoning of Rav Chasta? Hoil ve'anketa nigre brayata. He says, since he taught the animal to go outside of the eder, from now on you have to watch it more. Meaning the fact that the guy stole it, when he gives it back, now this animal needs more shmirah. You need to watch it better. Because it already got accustomed to being on the outside. Once it's on the outside, he's not going to be afraid anymore of going on the outside. You understand? It's like somebody that they come and they do something. Once they break out, now that's it. They get loose.
They know they can do it again.
Exactly. Right? That's why you have to be very, very strict. You understand? Questions are there. Why? Once you make one exception, that's it. It breaks loose. Right? You have to put them back in the cage.
The herd is loose.
So says the Gemara, Umi amar Rava hachi. He says, what? Does Rava actually say this? Ve'amar Rava says, Haiman techazye lechavre de agba imra me'adra didei. He says, somebody that sees his friend, that he picks up a keves from the flock, from his flocks, in order to steal it. Unma bekala. He screams. The shadyan, he throws it down. Velo yada, but now he doesn't know if he gave it back or not. Umet on ignam, and now it's stolen or dies. Chayav b'chayuv, it's going to be chayav. My lover, we're not talking about even though that he counted it. So therefore, this is actually Rava coming and saying that if it's ledat, eminyan poter. So this is like Rav. So this is a stira to everybody other than Rav. One more time, what did Rav say? Rav came and he said, if it's ledat, tzarich dat, which is the exact opposite of Rav Chasta, that he says shelo dat, tzarich dat, right? And then he says, and if it's shelo midat, minyan poter. Okay, so here it was ledat. So he comes and he says, here you're going to say, you're going to be chayav v'achruto. Why? You need that. So this is like Rav. One more time. The guy came, he picked up, and he's going to steal it. The owner starts screaming, hey! Now the guy went, but he doesn't know if he actually returned or not. So this is ledat. He says he's chayav v'achruto. 1 second. If you say he's chayav v'achruto, if he counted it, why isn't it good enough? Because according to the Shita, means that if you stole it ledat, you need that to give it back. So therefore, this is going to be what? This is going to be according to Rav. So this is according to Rav, which is a question against everybody else. So answers lo, the low money. He never counted it. That's why it doesn't. Not because you need that, just because he didn't count it. Check. Yeah. Right. So he comes and he says, the low money. He didn't count it. Does Rav actually say this? Rav says, even if you give it back to the other, you're going to be Tzedek Chovah. Right? You're going to be Chovah. Meaning, you just come and you put it back and that's it. According to Shitat Rav. So, Amar Rav Chanan, Bar Abba Model Rav Bekarkuta. He comes and he says, by a Tle Talu, that you don't have to know the minyan because it's known. Meaning it's a Taleh that you could recognize it from far. Meaning you know right away that you see it and that's how you know whether it's going to be good or not. So Rav was basically just saying that Rav Chanan Bar Rava comes and he says Rav agrees that in the case of a telet talu, which means that you come and you could recognizable throughout the entire thing, it's basically it's going to be mechusek tamim, and that means you see it from far. Right? Some people you see from very far, you see exactly who they are. Okay, fine. So says the Gemara lema ketanai. Why don't we just say it's a machloket tanaim? What does that mean? Hagonev taleh min haeder. If you're going to steal a taleh from the eder, or a sela min hakis, you're going to steal money from a kis. Right? Whoever you stole it, you give it back. That's the words of Rabbi Shmuel. Rabbi Kiva said, the Baalim have to know, you give it back. So Savrua, we thought, everyone holds Rabbi Yitzchak. Rabbi Yitzchak says Rabbi Yitzchak, people, they're always checking their money. I see people, they count their money 100 times a day. You understand? So what does that mean? They count. So my lover, we're not talking about now besela ladat, we're not talking about that, we're talking about a sela, and therefore he knows what's going on. That's a machlok Rav and Shmuel. Right? Betle shelo ladat. Only in a tle which is shelo ladat. So basically it comes out that we're all talking about these machlokot. Where do you give it back? Right? That means according to Rabbi Kiva that he holds like Rav Chasta, if you're going to steal an animal, shelo ladat, tzarich lachziro ladat, you still have to give it back. Ladat. So Amar Rav Zvid says Rav Zvid, he comes and he says, as follows: Mishmed Rava, name of Rava. Begonev mireshuta ba'alim. If you steal it from the reshuta ba'alim, kule ama lo pligi kederav chasta. Everybody agrees like Rav Chasta. What does that mean? You have to give it back ladat. Meaning, if somebody steals it from the place of the ba'alim, you have to give it back ladat. They have to know about it. Okay? But here, beshomer sheganav mireshuta. We're talking about the shomer that he stole it from his own reshut. Okay, שיחזיר למקום שגנב כמפלגה. That he's giving it back to the place where he stole it, that's a machlokes. Rabbi Kiva says, קלטה לו שמירתו, which means he's not considered anymore called a shomer. Rabbi Ishmael holds, לא קלטה לו שמירתו, which means he's still considered a shomer. So says the Gemara, lema minyan, right, poter tanahi. Why don't we just say, what was the machloket? We just said that the machloket was whether it finished the shmirah or not. Okay? Because basically what happened is that since his dat is considered like dat baalim, he knows that it was given back. So if he stole, meaning one more time, he's the shomer, he came and he stole it. He was supposed to watch over it, he stole it. So when he puts it back, it's keilu, since he's the baalim, he knows that he's putting it back. So therefore it's keilu that it was done, so therefore he's going to be patur. So says the Gemara, but 1 second, why don't we just say that this entire concept of minyan poter is a machloket? Right? Remember, what is minyan poter? If you count it afterwards, right? Do we say that you already realized that it was given back to you, even though you weren't being known that it was given back to you? So he says, Lema minyan poter tanahi. The Tanya was going to Nabraita. Hagozel et chavero v'ivli'a lo becheshbon. Imagine right now somebody steals from his friend, but then afterwards he's mavli'a lo becheshbon. What does that mean? The guy came and he stole. And then afterwards, he has to come and he has to pay back. So all of a sudden, he comes and inside, he comes and he pays him back. He's giving him the, but it's with extra. Now he did it purposely because he wanted to pay him back. Tani chada, right? One tana hold, yatzai. He's going to be tzedek chova. No, there's no knas. He stole. But he doesn't want to give him mifurash. I stole from you, take money. So the next time around, he has to buy something from him. Instead of giving him $10, whoops, mavli'a lo bifnim, hadla'a, boom, here's 12. Hey, he didn't tell him it.
Isn't there a risk that it's considered that he gave rebit?
No.
מחזיר את הקרן, את האמת.
Because he gave more.
ריבית is הלוואה, לא by גזלה.
I understand.
Nothing to do with it. It's nothing to do with it.
He took and then he gave more back.
What? He's not giving more back. He's giving the exact same amount back. He stole $2. Instead of coming and giving back the $2 and realizing, listen, I'm a ganav, he comes, the next time he comes, he has to give you $500 for something, he puts 502. And he puts it all in, here, 500, and then that's it.
I thought he was going to give me 2.5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Says the Gemara, we're talking about not like this. So we just said, right, Agozel et chavero v'ivli'a lo becheshbon. One more time. Somebody steals from his friend, so now he wants to pay it back, but he's not going to pay it back in furash. So what does he do? He's mavli'a lo, he does avla'ah, he puts it inside of the amount of money. So he stole $2. Right now, he's not going to give him $2 back. So what does he do? He has to give him $500 from something. He gives a big mizvada. Purposely, he gives him all $1. Right? In order for what? In order that he's mavliya $2 shama bifnim. He made a mistake in the account. Here's the $2 back. Right? So what happens? He says Tana chada. He's going to be a tzedek chova. Tanya yidach. He's not going to be a tzedek chova. Savrua. They thought that everyone agrees to Rabbi Yitzchak. That every person always is checking their money. Is that not the machloka between them? The one that says you're going to be tzedek chova, savar minyan poter, that the fact that you count it, you're going to be poter. Uman damar, the one that says lo yotza, he holds it, you're not going to be poter. So Amri, they said, isvira lan Rabbi Yitzchak, if he holds like Rabbi Yitzchak, kule alma lo plige, everybody agrees the minyan poter. Ela b'Rabbi Yitzchak kamipalge, but the machloket is Rabbi Yitzchak. More itle Rabbi Yitzchak, more holds like Rabbi Yitzchak, more let Rabbi Yitzchak, more does not hold of Rabbi Yitzchak. If you want, you can answer. Everybody holds like Rabbi Yitzchak. And it's not a question. Here we're talking about the Gazlan is counting the money and putting it into the keys. And here the Gazlan is counting the money and putting it in the hand of the Nigzal. So therefore, since it could be that the Nigzal is coming and throwing it into the Teva without counting it, right? That means he's not going to be Tzedek Chova. Meaning like this. You're giving me now the $500. What happens if I never counted it? And then I never realized it was 502. So if I never actually realized that it was 502, so therefore what does it help?
Yeah.
So therefore, because of that, he's not going to be tzedek chova because he never counted it. If you're going to tell me now that the entire machlok is whether you counted it or not counted it, maybe here you never counted it. Why? You took the $502, you put it away, you didn't even count it. You're so mechalav. You're going to come start counting the money. The second answer, if you can answer, the two brightot are talking about where Gazlan, he counted the money and he put it in the keys of the Nigzal, and therefore there's no stira. He already had money in the pouch. Meaning it all depends whether you have money in the pouch or not. If you have money in the pouch and now you put more money, he's going to count it. It's true, it had 502, but he had money beforehand also. So there's so much money there, you don't even know what's going on. You understand? So therefore but if there was no money in there, he comes, opens it up, 502. So now he knows. You understand? So therefore he knows that the money is coming back to him. Says the Mishnah Kuf Yudchet Amud Bet. En lochim min haroim tzemer vechalav ugdiim. We're not going to take from shepherds tzemer, wool, chalav, milk, ugdiim, and the kids, right? Velo mishomre perot etzimu perot. You're not allowed to take from people that they watch over perot, etzimu perot, wooden perot. Aval, why? Because we're going to suspect that maybe everything's stolen, right? We don't know, right? They're a shepherd. All of a sudden maybe he's shearing the wool and he's selling it, but it belongs to the owner. Aval lochim min hanashim, but you are allowed to take from women. You're allowed to take, whether it's talking about the bigdei tzemer in Yehuda, klepishtan, so wool in Yehuda, linen clothing in utensils in Galil, v'agalim b'sharon, and we're not going to suspect that it's going to be stolen from their husbands. But if they come and say, you have to keep it under the table, it's asur, because that means probably it's nikar that it was stolen. But you are allowed to take eggs and tarnagolim anywhere. Okay, and we're not going to suspect that you're going to be over on Isur of Geneva. Okay, so let's see. Says the Gemara, Tanu Rabbi, we learned in the Braita. En lochim min haroim v'lo yizim v'lo gedim v'lo gezim v'lo telushin shel tzemer. Right, you're not allowed to take from the shepherds, not goats, not kids, not shearings of wolves, not detached shearings of wolves, even a little bit. Aval lochim en tfunim min neshen shalem. But you're allowed to take something which is tafud because they already bought it b'shinui. Because that means even if it is going to be that they did steal it, they already acquired it b'shinui. So there's no problem. You are allowed to take chalav and gvina in the mibad, but not in the yishuv, right? Because basically then they had to bring it to the house of the balabait. You're allowed to take 4 or 5 sheep in one shot, or 4 or 5 gizin, but not 2 and 2. Right? Why? Because basically if it's going to be such a big amount, it cannot be stolen, because the owner is going to understand. You understand? 5 sheep disappear. You understand? So the guy understands. So if he's selling you such an amount, it means that it's his. Rabbi Yehuda says, by tiyot, lochimen. If they're going to be animals which go in the yishuv, you're allowed to take from them, because basically the balabait will understand. But if it's midbariyot, you can take from them. Why? Because the balabait will never pay attention. It's always in the midbar. So the balabait will never realize that the guy came and he started stealing these animals. Klalosh shel davar, the general rule is kol sharoem mocher balabait margish bo, anything which the shepherd will sell and the balabait is going to be margish it, lochimen, you're allowed to take it. Ve'en margish bo, but if he cannot recognize it, en lochimen, you're not allowed to sell it, buy it from him. Amar More says, if you already told me 4, why do you have to say 5? If you told me he could sell 4 at a time, why do you have to tell me then 5? Obviously, if you could sell 4, you could sell 5. Amar Chasar says, no. It's not 4, right? It's 4 out of 5, not 4 or 5. 4 out of 5, right? Why? Because it's impossible that he stole such a big amount. He's still stealing 80% of of the thing. It's impossible. So that means for sure it's his. The other people say, no, it is 4 and 5, but 4, right? We're talking about from an eder katan, and 5 from an eder gadol, right? That means since it's a bigger one, you only if you take 5, then it's more recognizable. If it's a smaller one, even 4 it's recognizable. So that's why it's the 4 and the 5. So says the Gemara, that in itself is a question. Amarta, you just told me Bava Chamisha tzon, Bava Chamisha gizin. You just told me 4 or 5 sheep and 4 or 5 gizin. Bava Chamisha in, shalosh no. You told me 4 or 5 yes, 3 no. But what does the Seifa say? But not 2. But if you say 3 yes, meaning I'm making a diuk from the Reisha and the Seifa stira. You told me 4 and 5 you're allowed to. But then you tell me you're not allowed to take 2. What about 3? The 3 is in the middle. Because if you're going to make a diuk from the Reisha 4 or 5 yes, 3 no. But then if you make a diuk from the Seifa, it's 2 no, but 3 yes. So what's going on? Answers the Gemara, La kashya, it's not a question. Ha bebraita, bariyata, veha bechishata. He says the Seifa, which is permitting to buy 3, we're talking about kvasim briot. They're very, very healthy. So since the balabait, he always wants to know what's going on, he's going to realize that even 3 are missing. And therefore we're not going to suspect that the shepherd stole it. But the other case, which is talking about that he says you're allowed to only 4 and 5, we're talking about kvasim, very chushot, very weak ones. So therefore, since they're not so chashuv to the balabait, Even 3 is not going to be chashuv. You understand? He's not. If it's something very, very important, he's going to all the time be asking, trying to find out what's going on. You understand? I have that all the time. People don't come to shiur, so I start asking about them, right? To find out, where are they? What's going on? What's that? You understand? So that's the concept, right? So it depends, right, of what we're doing. Fine. We learned in a Braita. Rabbi Yehuda Omer bayitiot lochimen. You're allowed to take the ones which should belong in the city, but not the ones that belong in the desert. Because the ones in the city, when they come back, so he would recognize it. But the ones that they always are in the desert, he's never going to find out. So that's the question. Rabbi Yehuda reisha kai luchumra. Is Rabbi Yehuda going on the reisha on the Tana Kama that you're allowed to buy 4 and 5, and he's going to be machmid, and he says no. Even the 4 and 5 which were permitted is only going to be if it's going to be the ones which belong in the house. But meaning in the yishuv, but if they belong in the desert, no. Meaning Rabbi Yehuda is going lechumra, or Dilmar maybe he's going on the seifa, which is going lekula, which means that you're not allowed to take 2 sheep, and he's coming and saying no. But if they're the yishuv, you're allowed to take the 2 sheep, and therefore he's going lekula, not lechumra. Okay, one more time. Is Rabbi Yehuda going lechumra or lekula? Okay, that's the concept. So says the Gemara, areisha kayo lechumra. What does that mean? We're going to explain it. So he says, areisha kayo lechumra. You said that you could take 4 or 5 sheep. Hanamil, when can you take 4 or 5 sheep? Only the ones which belong in the city, in the yishuv, baitiyot, from the bait. Aval mi bariyot, but if they belong in the desert, afilu 45 lo, you're not allowed to. So that's Rabbi Yehuda lechumra. Or Dilma, or maybe a seifa kayul kula. It's going on the seifa and the kula. Damar, that we just said that you're not allowed to take 2 sheep. Hanamil, when do we say you're not allowed to take 2 sheep? In bariyot, if they belong in the desert. Aval beitiyot, but if they belong in the house, shtaim nam luchim, you are allowed to take 2, and therefore it's lekula. So that's the question: is Rabbi Yehuda going lechumra or lekula? Okay, answers the Gemara. Tashema, the Tanya, as we learned in the Braita, Rabbi Yehuda says, lochim beitiyot mehen, you are allowed to take the ones from the houses. Ve'en lochim mehen bin bariyot u'bechol makom, but in any place, lochim mehen arba v'chamishat tzon. You could take arba v'chamishat tzon. So therefore, obviously, mideamar kuf yutet amud aleph on the top, the first line. Right, midamar bechol makom. Once he said bechol makom, shema mina seifa kai ulekula. So it comes out that he's going lekula shema mina, and that's what we're actually going lekula. Have a wonderful day.